Well, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Today is June 22nd, 2026, sometime in the early morning hours. Today I'm going to go over DIA, ticker symbol DIA. I am on the Binance chart. And before we get started, let me just give you a little background here. I am an amateur trader and investor. I typically like to trade more longer term trades. I am not a professional. I have a day job that does not involve finance at all. So please keep in mind that as I'm going over the charts, I am not a professional, or I don't have the nuance of someone who's been trading for years and years. But hopefully, as I go through the charts, it helps you to decide or make a decision for yourself to either do some more research and see if there's someone who you can refer to that has more experience. But what I'd like to do is go over DIA. It's obviously in a bear market. As you can tell, since we're on the Binance chart, uh, you see this formation of pretty much lower high, lower lows and lower highs, and it's just keeping on going down there. And I think it actually has some more downside as the short answer, but let's go scope it out a little bit more. So we go to the monthly chart here. Now, I should also mention, I don't think I mentioned this, is I actually am invested in DIA. Uh, I I get in there are coins where you can get emotional with, and you can really like their fundamentals. DIA is one of these coins. It's an oracle like Chainlink. I'm not going to go over the fundamentals because this isn't really a fundamentalist channel. It's more of a charting channel, and so I really just want to more go over the charts. But I am in a losing position currently in DIA, and so as an interest to me, I'm kind of like wondering, okay, how much lower can we go before we start seeing a turnaround time? Because what I want to do is once we get to a point where it looks like we've reached the bottom, I want to invest more money into it. And that may sound crazy, but what happens is when you invest at certain levels where it had like definitely some I'm just going to call it long term support. Essentially, what happens is even though you are losing money, you will gain back or get into a profit much quicker than just leaving your first entry. So when you do recognize a low, you do have an opportunity to get into profit faster if you can time lower lows. And so that's kind of like what the goal is going to be here today. So I am on the monthly chart of the same of Binance, and we already know we're in a bear market. So let's see what's going on. So I'm gonna unplug this, and as you can tell, I've got a bunch of markings on here because I was looking at it earlier. And so what I want to do is kind of go over and explain what these markings are, and then talk about what we're looking for to see when would be a good time to get back into DIA. So these circles represent waves. There's this idea in trading that uh, a movement, when I say a movement, like say like a bull market or a bear market, it can go in waves, and typically the most common number of waves is three, but it can go up to five. And if you look at the Binance chart, it seems to have three waves here. These so you have this downward action, and then we have what's called a pause. This is where the price retraces, goes up a little bit, then it has another pause. Then this is the wave two, and then you see this pause here, and it's still going up. So I'm considering all this a pause. This could theoretically be a third wave. Uh, so it's somewhere between three and four waves before it hit its bottom. So that's the past. So now we're going to be talking about the future. Even though I think if you look at the 6 month chart, this is kind of a area that I've been kind of interested in. Let me take this off again. Do you always have to measure bear markets on the weekly or daily time frame? Because very clearly, if you look at it from a much longer perspective, we've actually been in a bear market this coin's entire life, except it before it entered Binance, it was probably trading on um, let's call it exchanges that are not popular. I'm forgetting the name of it. I guess because it's early in the morning. I need to drink more caffeine. But decentralized exchanges is the word I was looking for. So it was probably trading on decentralized exchanges before July 20th, and then once it got actually onto an centralized exchange like Binance, uh, it was probably at a higher point, and the the people who had it on decentralized exchanges sold their position because normally what happens is, even though there's a lot of input, a lot of input that comes in when a coin is listed. If it's been on a decentralized exchange for a while, then the investors on the decentralized exchange are going to dump this onto other investors that are first time buying it on decentralized exchanges. It's just something that happens in crypto, but it also happens in IPOs like on the stock market. So keep that in mind. The so bringing this back up, we've been in I think we've been in a bear market since 2020. Okay, and we're at 2026. Uh, and Even though we had a longer pause where you definitely had kind of a wedge channel form, as you can see from 2023 up to 2024, you had this movement. This was a bear market on the shorter scale. Even like I said, I still think we were still in a bear market technically. That was 548% gain. And then it went down and touched this point again and proceeded to top the next press line. And it actually dipped below. So we'll just go and take it from there. That was the 345% gains. So well, those are really good gains. I mean, I know from a crypto perspective, there are definitely gains higher, like in 1,000%. We've even looked at a coin that, we've looked at much higher gains. However, that is, it's great. It's great gains. So now we're at this point where we are even on a short term scale, we are going, we're going down. So, what are these horizontal lines? Well, what these horizontal lines are is they're more on the weekly chart. So, just ignore these for right now. Um, and Actually, what we can do is, I guess we can just go ahead and go to the weekly chart. Let's just do that. So, again, instead of using ellipticals to count the waves, I'm trying to use just lines. So, I think we've got 1, 2, 3, and we're on our fourth wave here. And this is uh, this is a good example of, okay, now that we're on the fourth wave, how much lower can it go? Well, if you look at this wedge pattern, this is an example of a wedge pattern where the price doesn't break out to the top, it breaks out to the bottom. So, what this line represents, if you take this line right here, they tell you in trading that when the wedge forms, you take your line, you go to where it broke out, and you put it there, and you see how low it goes. So if you were to go by this, that would be 0.0430 is where we're going as far as price goes. However, there is another point of view, and I'm kind of leaning to this point of view, and that is you take your trend line for your wedge pattern and you start it where the movement from the bottom to the last top range that it took, like this. You bring it over here, and this is where it broke out, and this would put you at 0.0995 approximately. So somewhere around here it may drop to. Therefore, I am expecting to have more of a drop in DIA. That might mean it has a fifth wave, and the reason why I say that is because right now it's starting to pause, maybe starting. It, it's based on the weekly chart. It looks like it's about to have a short pause, but it hasn't really formed yet. This could just still just continue to go down. We have 6 days in this left in this particular candle right here. And if that turns red, then it's just a continuation to the downside. And this is still wave four. Excuse me. So what can we tell about these? Well, the reason why let's go to the daily before I switch to some other things to look at. So I'm going to throw up to 20 and I'm going to throw up to 200. Okay. So I guess I'll throw up the A here too. All right. What you can see is that right now, price is not getting too far away from the 20. And it's sort of on the daily is sort of stopped at this trend line. I do not know how long this trend line will hold. Like I said before, I am expecting more downside. One of the reasons why I'm expecting more downside is if you look at the 20, uh, the price is still respecting the 8 moving average. It did get above it. However, right now it is below the 8 moving average, and the 20 is pointing down. The 200 is slowly gradually kind of like going down like this. So I do expect that this, as the price nears this 20, the 20 is still going to push the price down. But one nice thing about it is starting to not be as drastic of a push down. So that is why I think we're still going to have more downside on this particular chart. If we go and take a look at the same chart, but I have some different indicators on it. These are the indicators I like to use a lot, but I also have a new one up that I haven't showed before. But essentially, this is the weekly chart of DIA, and I've got the relative strength index, the stochastic RSI, the money flow index, and I've got the commodity CCI. I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's another way of measuring overbought, oversold. Now, on the RSI, as you can see, we are touching, it says we're a little bit above 30, and this is the lowest we've been with DIA before in this particular chart's history. So we are definitely nearing, hopefully, the bleeding stopping. Because according to this, we're getting really close to oversold. Don't get me wrong; it can still go lower. I mean, this is not this is the highest part of being oversold. Uh, it's very possible that it could go deep under 30. Okay, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't think we're going to have another year of of a bear market. I think that you will eventually start seeing a push up in the next, let's say year. Maybe by the end of 2027, maybe I'm sorry, I said 2027. Maybe by the end of 2026, early 2027, you may see it start to have a little bit of a bear market, or it could go up even now. But based on what we're seeing, is we are at the lowest we've ever been with DIA, and there's a chance. Like I said, there's more downside I think on this particular coin. If you look at the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart, we have crossed back down below 20, so there is no momentum here. If you look at the money flow index, it is going down. It wasn't an oversold near the top of that wedge pattern, and it's been, even though it had a spike up, it's been and it had kind of a spike up in a weird time. It's still pointing down, but it's not anywhere near oversold. It's at the 50 mark. And if you look at the CCI, the CCI also measures overbought, oversold, but it's a little different because it doesn't have a range between 0 to 100. It can definitely spike well over the 100. So as you can see, when Dia was at its last peak, it was at 345, and now it came to a low of 276. It this essentially a the coin is considered oversold if it's above 100, and it's considered oversold if it's below 107. It's considered overbought if it's above 100. So this is minus 100, this is plus 100, and then you've got your zero line. So the CCI thinks that we are in oversold. It's showing that it is going up. One of the reasons I sometimes like to look at the CCI to get it to kind of gauge if it kind of is more responsive than the RSI, but it can I would say the signals on crypto can misfire. In other words, it'll show more bullish reversal going to moving to either overbought or oversold, but this might be an indicator that if it crosses this minus 100 point, that the Dia is on the side of reversing its course. Now, if we look at this other indicator, the ADX, as you can tell, we're definitely seeing more selling than buying. So right now, Dia is definitely capitulating. The seller, the people who have been in this for a long while, they're getting frustrated and they are exiting Dia. And these the buyers are pretty close to the sellers, but it's very clear that the selling is on top. And if we look at the actual ADX, which measures momentum, it's a 10. Okay, so since that's a 10, you're considered in a trend if it is 20 or above. So right now, the ADX, or Directional Movement Index, thinks that we are going to start ranging because it's not in the numbers where it's above 20. So what can we expect to see? So if we go back to this chart here, this is what I am looking for. I'm going to bring up the 20. I'm going to bring up the 200 again, and I guess I'll go ahead and bring up the 50, and I'll bring up the 8. What we are looking for is essentially how long is this particular trend line going to hold? If this trend line turns long term, and what I mean is I'm going to make this a little bit more magnified on the daily, and I'm going to take the okay. So we've got the price sort of going flat right now. It hasn't gone beneath this point. But if the price just keeps on going sideways like this and fails to make a new low or a new high, that's called ranging. And that can be a good sign or a good place to actually put some money in. But it hasn't been doing this long enough. This is only 1, 2, 3, 4 days. You really want to see more like 2 weeks of price action and see where it's at. Because if you see, like, for example, the price kind of go up a little bit and then come back down a little bit, and you start having a clear channel where the price just is sort of going up and down, that might be a good point to get back or to another investment into Dia, because that would be that could be a sign that it is going to be close to reversing. So when a coin in general, I'm just talking about in general, when a coin is in a bear market and it's going down, you're really looking for two scenarios. Like I said, you've got your ranging scenario. So you would like to see, your price kind of long term ranging between two upper and cultural wicks. So let's just say it. I'm not saying this is where your channel is, but if you see the price kind of doing this, that is. Let me bring up my drawing tool here. Okay. If you see the price kind of doing this, this it can be a good place to start putting some extra money in. What you would do is, if you're worried about stop losses, you would figure out what the bottom of the channel is and put your stop loss below the channel. And when the price does this curve down, you would see how it reacts, and you would probably invest about there. And then you would just wait. Now, there are swing traders who will just trade in this channel, and they will go like boom, they'll put their money here, sell here, put their money here, sell there, and just, they'll do that all day long. It's just another way you can make money in the market. But like I said, I'm more looking for long term. But this is a good, when these ranging markets are a good point to go up. But however, just because it when you're in raging, it doesn't always guarantee it's going to go up. It could go down to another level. So you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at the ranging market. Another scenario that you want to look for is, I'm just going to erase this. Okay. And let me get rid of the 8. So you've got your 200 moving average here. And right now this is the 20. But let's just imagine if we take off the 20, and this blue line, even though it's the 50, was the 20. This creates a situation that's called a 3-finger spread. The price has gone too far away from the 20, and the price tends to want to go up to the 20. This sometimes can start a bull run. It has another term, uh, though it doesn't really do it from the standpoint of a moving average. These type of recoveries are sometimes called V-shaped recoveries, because it can be very steep. In other words, you don't have a gradual climb up to the 20. It really tries to reach the 20 pretty fast. And so it kind of creates a V-shape pattern like this. So but usually that's when you have a faster collapse, because when you have a collapse that is more gradual, the price is staying pretty close to the 20, so you're not going to get this V shape normally in that particular scenario. So I am not expecting a V shape recovery for DIA, and that's why, because the momentum is so slow and it's grinding down and sticking with the 20, I'm more looking for a recovery with a ranging period. So that's pretty much the final answer. I do expect that we are going to have more downside. I do not know if this particular bottom is going to hold. I suspect not. I think I already showed a chart up here. I think I might have already deleted that trend line. Do I expect it to go down to here? No, but I wouldn't be surprised, in my opinion, if we get to this particular area. So I would expect DIA to probably fall somewhere around here. If it continues to fall gradually, then we're looking for a ranging situation where it seems to have found a bottom and it has a top, and it just starts ranging. You see the moving averages kind of, like I said, they can start clumping together. You see the 20, the 8, and the 50 kind of clump together. And then the 200 is still lowering, but at some point, you don't know why, you don't know when, but it will start to go up at that point, and that usually is a sign that the bull run is starting. So that's all I have for today. I hope this video helps out, and I hope you have a blessed day.